Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, True Talk with Erica Silly. You know, this channel is specifically dedicated to women who are ready to move beyond the barriers that stand in their way, that stop them from being the best versions of themselves, whether that's personally or professionally. And it's my intent here in this space to give you strategies, tools, tips, nuggets, insight, laughter, to help you do just that, to move forward into whatever it is that you desire to do or to be for yourself. And so, if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then I do encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Come on back, hang out with me, and get exactly what you need to continue moving forward into your best version. I do want to take this opportunity to just say, I get super excited about this kind of conversation because as a personal coach for women, I help my clients to do just that, to figure out what's standing in the way. And then when we do that, to provide strategies to help you move forward. And so, speaking of that, I do want to take an opportunity to give a big shout out to the Women's Leadership Forum. The visionary behind the forum is Colette Coakley, and I am sporting my Naked Truth sweatshirt, which is from a previous forum, but you do want to connect with the Women's Leadership Forum. You can check them out at forwardwlf.org to find out all the great things that they are doing to empower women. So I got a question for you. Have you ever felt like you need a reset? Let me ask that question again. Have you ever felt like you need to do a reset? Well, that has been me. At the end of last year, 2023, moving into this new year, that's how I felt like I needed a reset. In fact, I talked a little bit about it in my end of the year video that you can also find here on my YouTube channel, just kind of coming out of 2023, looking forward to 2024. And so I felt like I was in this place where I just needed to have a sense of renewal. And I know that as humans, and especially women, we feel like that at certain points in time in our lives. And so as I was sitting here processing how I'm moving through the period of reset, I thought, you know what, I want to share this because I am absolutely sure that if you've landed here in this space, that you may be saying to yourself, oh yeah, I need a reset, I need a fresh start, I need to renew, I need to regenerate myself. So I wanted to share a few things with you. Now, I'm in my office with a few things laid out, and I just want to show you something before we get started. So this is my whiteboard, okay? So I have gone through and kind of mapped out in my head what it is that, or how it is that I want to move forward. How am I offering myself, my services, True Synergy to the community that I get to serve, okay? So there's two different aspects, and I must just say this, and I don't want to go too far down this part because I'll come back to it, but there's two different aspects of who I am, who True Synergy is, and how I serve. So on the one hand, I serve you, women, who are in need of coaching. You might be in a place where you want to move forward with something, you're just not sure how to do it, or you might say to yourself, I know there's something else, I just don't know what it is. So as a coach, I help to navigate women through those kinds of transition points. That's the first part. The second part is that I also offer professional development services to organizations. Lots of different things that are happening in the corporate culture space right now, whether it's effective communication, whether it is conflict management, whether it is conversations around the DEI space, and then of course, the women in those organizations get to come hang out with me in another space on the coaching side, should they desire to do that, okay? So as I process all of that, trying to make sure that I am messaging and showing up the right way, I felt like, oh gosh, I need a reset because some things aren't working right now. So as a coach, you know, we get to those points where we have to do the exact same things that we are navigating our clients through. So I said to myself at the end of 2023, coming into this new year, Erica, you need a reset. You need a reset. So today, the ahas and the light bulbs are like, oh, shining bright. And so I'm getting ready to take what I have on the whiteboard right here, and I'm getting ready to erase all of it, which is why you see my Windex right here, my paper towels. Because part of my reset is reframing this. Okay, this is still the same, but I need to reframe it in a different way. So as I was thinking about and getting ready to do that, I thought, let me share with you, because you might be in a place right now where you say, oh God, I need a reset. Because at every single point, I shouldn't say every single point, but at various points in time, we will all need to do that. So I wanted to share the process of how to do that, all right? So I got a couple notes here. This is a book that funny enough, this is from the Women's Leadership Forum too, but I have some notes here that I wrote. I've got another book here that kind of speaks to the process that I'm going to share with you, and this is like the output, okay? So just flow with me for a moment. So if you say to yourself, man, I really am feeling like I need to do something different, all right? Now, whether you're at that point right now or it will come later, I want you to bookmark these steps, because this is something that could be a game changer for you. So in my place of needing a reset, what did I do in order to push the reset button and move forward? Okay, so here's one of the things. First of all, when you're in a place and you feel like you need a fresh start, the first thing to do is to recognize where you are. Recognize where you are. That's probably going to be the first thing in every step of transformation, transition, movement, is to recognize that you're in the place that you are. So for me, I knew, okay, so where am I? So recognizing where I was, I had to use one word, and that word was stuck. I felt like I was stuck. Sure, there were some things that were going well, and I had achieved a really big goal with publishing my second book, so things were moving in that direction in a good way, but I still felt like I was stuck, okay? So wherever you are right now, think about that place. You might be stuck, or you might be feeling unfulfilled. You might not be feeling levels of joy that you want, that you desire, that you expect. Whatever it is, just define where you are. And here's the reason why that's important, because we have a tendency sometimes to just ignore how we're feeling, what we're thinking, but the true talk is say it, call it out, for what it is, so that you know what you're dealing with, all right? So that's the first thing. Recognize where you are. So for me, it was stuck. The next step, if you're in a place where you feel like you need a refreshing, is to take a step back to do two things. This is where I was. I had to take a step back to do two things. Number one, I had to say, all right, so if you're stuck, then where are you stuck? Like, what is it what's the main area that you feel like you're stuck in? And for me, my response to that question was, ooh, I feel stuck in my business, okay? For you, you might say, if you're feeling stuck or whatever it is, you might say, oh, well, where is it, or why is it that I'm feeling this way? It might be, well, I'm not happy on my job, or maybe I'm not as healthy as I want to be. Whatever that is, you fill in the blank for you. So that's the first thing I had to do in this taking a step back. The second thing, now this is the part, I want you to get ready to write this down, highlight it, put an asterisk around it, underline it, do whatever you need to do to call this out. The second thing I had to do in this step was to rest. R-E-S-T, rest. Now, ladies, I know sometimes it's not easy to rest. Why? Because you might be a mother, maybe you're a wife, or you got a companion, your work, your sorority is calling you, your community needs you, your mama called, your daddy called, your sister needs you. I know. All the people, all the things have your name on it. But the resting part is so important, and here's the reason why. Because number one, we need it mentally, physically, spiritually, right? As we're running, our bodies are not built, are not made, are not intended to constantly run, even though we think that we can. That's a conversation for another day. But the other part of resting is that it gives our brain a chance to just stop or slow down and just rest. There it is again, R-E-S-T. Because when we're constantly trying to finagle and figure out, then it gets to a point where we're burning ourselves out, we're burning out our brain cells because we're trying to think and overthink and rethink and analyze and reanalyze. Let me just tell you, for me, I know there were several times when I would sit down, I have a planner and I have a booklet, and sometimes I'll lay out paper because I'm piecing things together and I need to like logically put it out so that I can see it. There have been times when I have done that and I'm like, oh, wait, I don't know what am I putting on paper? What am I writing? Like my brain just was not producing ideas. And so there were times when I would get frustrated about that. You know how it is. Like we all have those moments where we're trying to figure something out, we can't, and it's not coming together, and we get frustrated. Why? Because we're human. So I decided that after I figured out where I was stuck, then I just needed to rest. I just needed to stop. So what did that look like for me? There were times when I would sit, my family room is on the other side of my office. I would sit on my couch and I would watch something that just completely made me laugh or just put me in a good space, especially the Hallmark Channel with all of the Christmas shows, Valentine shows, all the love conversations and shows. That's what I would watch. I would have popcorn, I'd have a glass of wine, I'd put my feet up. I'd just do mindless things because I could not continue to try spinning the wheels and spinning the wheels and spinning the wheels and feel like I was getting nowhere. So being stuck and having no traction, that's not a good place to be. So rest is important. It's mindless stuff. It takes you away from the things that you're trying to figure out. All right, so let's move on. So remember that. So the second step, after you recognize where you are, where you need to be refreshed, or the thing, you need to be refreshed, you're stuck, you need to move, whatever. You define it. Second thing, taking a step back to do two things. The first, okay, where am I stuck, or why am I feeling this way? Answering that question, and then resting. So you've identified it and you're just like, okay, let me stop, let me take a step back, do nothing, don't try to figure anything else. Here's the third part. Now, mind you, I do need to say this, that all along the way, throughout all of these steps that I'm going to share with you, for me, the thing that was included throughout the process was to be prayerful, okay? Was to be prayerful. Because for me, my connection and my relationship with God and my faith was important to navigate me through this space of being stuck. Now, I recognize it's different for everybody. I'm just telling you that's part of my process. So the next thing after resting, I said, okay, so if I'm stuck in this area, that means that I need help, okay? So the third step in this process of resetting and moving out of a place that you're in right now is to say to yourself, okay, if I've been doing this way, and if I feel stuck or I feel like something's not working, then what is it that I need? That question, what is it that I need, will then lead you to, oh, wait a minute, I need help. Because there's some things that apparently I've tried to figure out on my own that haven't quite worked. So, seeking help, whatever that is for you. Help might look differently depending on what the situation is. Help might just mean, hey, listen, I'm calling a family member, a friend, a trusted confidant, and I just need help thinking through some things, or I just need help to release some things. That could be help. Another form of help could be taking a training class, which is what I'm doing right now, and I'll share that in just a moment. Another form of help could be therapy. Depending on what it is you're dealing with, therapy is absolutely, positively a good avenue to help you process through, and it is a great form of self-care. Another form of help is getting a coach, okay? I'm going to tell you, standing here as a coach, that is what we're here for, to help you navigate through the spaces where you feel like something's just not working, it's not gelling, it's not clicking. So seeking help. And as a coach, I've had multiple coaches and I'm working with one right now. So seeking out help is the next part of the process of moving you through a place where you need a renewal. Here's another step. After seeking help, now let me just show you about the help. So this is another book. Shout out to my sister Kina, who finds the most thoughtful gifts. So this journal is something that she provided for me. So this journal is chock full of stuff, okay? What is in this journal is the result of me seeking the help, okay? So over the last probably 3 weeks now, I have actually signed up for 3 different courses, okay? Saw the courses, looked at what they were about, and I was like, okay, this is something that I probably need to tap into, because I connected that to the first question, which was, okay, where am I stuck? So if you don't identify that first, then you won't know what help you need at this step, okay? So that's very important. So this book has all of the notes and all the things from me getting the help, all right? So training sessions that I've gone through that has really given me some major insight, okay? So that step is about seeking help. So here's the next step, and that is to get still again. You're probably saying, oh gosh, I'm doing a lot of sitting still and resting. Well, hint, hint. But after getting the help, after going through these training classes, sitting still again was important. Why? You know how you take in so much information, right? So much information. And sometimes information can be overwhelming, okay? It can be overwhelming because you're like, oh, this makes sense. Oh, that sounds good. Got this. Oh, let me. And so you're taking all this stuff in. That's what these pages are. I've taken in so much information. But the getting still again means that now I have to say, and this has been my prayer, which I said, for me, prayer has been part of this process all along. I had to say, all right, God, I feel like I was led to these courses because they spoke to my spirit about where I was stuck. Now that I have the information, I now have to figure out how to apply it, okay? And sometimes sitting still with that is important because we might start moving in a whole lot of directions. And it might not be the wisest thing to do, even with the information that we have. So it's important that once you get the help, then you say, okay, let me sit still again. Let me just be quiet. And let me just say, all right, so now how do I apply the information that I have that is going to help me get unstuck? Now, there's another part to the helping me get unstuck, because there's a filling in the blank, okay? So if I want to get unstuck, I have to define, when I'm unstuck, what does it look like, okay? So for me, it is, help me to apply what I've learned, the information that I have, so that I can get unstuck and move into, which is connected to a goal that I have right here at the top of the board, okay? So it's important to fill in those pieces, but you can only do that if you take the time to just say, okay, let me let it marinate. It's almost like, for those of us who cook and you find all these great recipes, and there's a recipe that says to season up something and let it marinate. Let it sit in the refrigerator overnight or for a few hours. Why? Because the more it marinates, the more the flavors permeate through that thing, and the better it will taste. So this step is sort of like that. So really here, when you're resting for that second time, you're letting that information marinate. You're like, okay, I got the help. Now let me let it sit for a while and let me figure out what to do with it. All right, so the next thing, after you have gotten your help, You've given yourself a second time to sit still, to rest, to process it, to know what you're going to do with it. Here's the next step. Now, I'm not numbering the steps, so as you're going through, either watching live or you go back to the replay and you listen to the different things that I'm saying, you can number them yourself. But the next step is that after you've taken the time to sit still, you're processing, then you start to connect the dots, okay? Connect the dots. That's what this is, okay? So for me, I had to look at all the stuff over the course of the last training sessions, right? I had to sit still, I had to pray, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is the connecting the dots. So now, when I look at this and I look at this, these two are really the same thing. But I think part of the reason why I was stuck is because if you just look at this without even knowing what all is written here, you're probably like, oh, that's a lot of stuff on that board. And it is. When I connected the dots, I was like, oh, wait, this looks simpler for me to process in my brain, okay? Now, some of the same stuff here is applicable and will fall in some of these categories, but for the sake of me grasping an area that I know will help me to move forward, this was how I had to connect the dots, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So I wanted to share that. So what's going to happen is I'm getting ready to take this and start erasing it. Now, mind you, I took a picture of this first, so I'm not totally losing it. Now, the only thing that I'm not going to erase is this goal at the top, okay, because that is still relevant. And after one of the training classes this week, I'm going to add something to that because it is my monthly goal, but I'm going to add an and more, right? Because that opens up opportunities for abundance. Hopefully you heard that. That's another conversation too. So now that I have erased that, what I'm essentially going to do is I'm going to put this, I'm going to map it out on here so that this picture here on the paper will be the new picture on the whiteboard. All right? So that's how that's going to go. Let me see. Was there anything else? Yeah, I think that was it. So at the end of the day, I want you to look at where you are right now and just say to yourself, am I in a place where I need to reset, where I need to have a moment of refreshing? I'm going to quickly go back through the steps, and actually as I go back through the steps, I will number them just so that if you're taking notes, that you can follow along. There's 5 steps actually. All right. So here's the first one really quickly. So if you need a refreshing, you need a renewal, you need to start over, you need a new perspective, here's a way to look at it. Step number 1, recognize where you are, okay? Whether that's stuck, unfulfilled, not happy, not joyful, whatever the case, recognize where you are. Number 2, take a step back to do 2 things. 1, associate where you are with whatever's happening, right? So why are you stuck? Why are you unfulfilled? Connect it to something. The second part, so number 2 has an A and a B. That's A. B is to rest. Like, give it a minute. Don't email, don't call, don't try to write nothing down. Just give yourself an opportunity to do mindless things. Number 3, seek help. Seek help for the thing that you've identified in step number 1. Number 4, get still again. Because once you seek help, you're going to get some information. You're going to get some knowledge. Somebody or something's going to pour into you. So step number 4 says, okay, I got it now. I need to sit still with it so I know what to do with it. And then number 5 is to then connect the dots. When you sit still, you get that clarity that you need. You get a moment for your mind to open up to receive new things that may come at you in ways that you didn't expect, which would lead you to number 5 to be able to connect those dots. So Hopefully that is something helpful for you. I know for sure that I needed that, and I did not want to embrace this for myself without sharing it with you. At the end of the day, you know, that's the transformation point. That's the moment when we get to move from stuck to now I have some traction so that I can move forward. That's transformation. All the stuff that I just shared with you is everything in between, everything in the middle to get you from one point to the next point. That is what transformation is. And at this point, it is a method of change, right? That allows us to move through and get to wherever it is that we desire to be. So, I'm going to ask you to do a few things. Number one, I'm going to ask you again to subscribe to the channel. Number two, I'm going to ask you to share this out, because if you're watching, you may be having conversations with your friends, with your families, with your coworkers, and you're having this kind of conversation. So share it out, because somebody else might need what you just received. I'm also going to ask you to drop a comment, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear how this resonated with you. Did it help you? Do you have more questions? Any aha moments? And then lastly, I'm going to ask you to turn the notification bell on so that when new videos are uploaded, that you are the first to know. All right? So I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. Until I do, I want you to take care of yourselves and yes, be well.